Who's not valuable? He asks, eyebrows raised. The woman who just saved us $9.3 million? The air shifts. My supervisor's smile wilts. Why isn't she here? The VP scans the room. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. What they don't know is that I'm exactly where I plan to be. Outside looking in, documenting every word, every nod, every betrayal. The final pieces clicking into place for what comes next. Before I reveal how I engineered this moment, you need to understand the complete story. Listen until the end because what happens after this meeting transforms not just my career, but an entire organization. The revenge I've designed isn't quick or simple. It's something much more satisfying. And honestly, you'll want to hear how a woman they underestimated for years finally makes them pay without losing herself in the process. My name is Nadia Weaver. At 34, I'm a materials engineer with a mind that sees patterns others miss. I can spot a structural inconsistency from a data set that most experts would declare flawless. This ability made me invaluable in my previous position, where I helped develop lightweight components for medical devices. I joined this manufacturing company excited about scaling my impact, creating materials that would help millions rather than thousands. When I first met my supervisor, Alton Pierce, he seemed genuinely impressed by my credentials. We need someone who thinks differently, he told me during my interview. Someone who challenges conventions. His enthusiasm felt authentic, his handshake firm. The corner office with its view of the city skyline suggested someone secure in his position. My first 6 months exceeded expectations. I identified 3 efficiency improvements that reduced production costs by 17%. The team celebrated these wins, and Alton made a show of recognizing my contributions during department meetings. The shift happened gradually. It started with a testing protocol I developed for our newest product line. After presenting it to Alton privately, he suggested a few tweaks before sharing it with the broader team. When the protocol was introduced the following week, it was presented as Alton's innovative approach. My name appeared nowhere in the documentation. When I mentioned this privately, he dismissed my concern. We're all one team here, Nadia. Everyone contributes bits and pieces. I simply synthesized various inputs. His tone made me question myself. Was I being unnecessarily territorial? Perhaps this was how things worked at larger organizations. 3 months later, it happened again. I discovered a way to reduce material waste by changing our measurement technique. I documented the process thoroughly, included implementation guidelines, and shared it with Alton. This time, he assigned Dale, a junior colleague, to review my work. 2 weeks later, my innovation was introduced as a group project led by Alton with significant contributions from Dale. The pattern continued with growing boldness. Each idea I brought forward faced the same fate: dismissed, watered down, or claimed by others. My applications for advancement were met with vague objections about my leadership qualities despite my proven technical expertise. During my second-year evaluation, I finally confronted the issue directly. I feel my contributions aren't being recognized appropriately, I told Alton. He leaned back in his chair, his expression a practice neutral. Nadia, recognition comes to those who demonstrate team values. Your technical skills are solid, but your ideas often lack practicality. When they succeed, it's typically because others have substantially refined them. The injustice burned, but I maintained my composure. Can you provide specific examples of how my ideas were impractical before others refined them? His answer revealed everything. That's not how memory works, Nadia. We don't catalog each evolutionary step of an idea. The point is that successful innovation here is collaborative. Collaborative. The word echoed in my mind as I left his office. There was nothing collaborative about systematically taking credit for another person's work. That evening, I started keeping detailed records. Every idea, every conversation, every email. I created private documentation with timestamps and witnesses where possible. Not yet for revenge, simply for my own sanity. To confirm I wasn't imagining things. The breaking point came during winter evaluations of my 3rd year. Despite having developed a testing method that reduced quality issues by 32%, I received a rating of meets expectations, while two colleagues with lesser accomplishments received promotions. That night, as I drove home through the darkness, something crystallized within me. This wasn't just about recognition anymore. It was about justice. 2 weeks later, I made a crucial discovery while analyzing product return data. Our materials contained minute imperfections, invisible to standard testing, that caused failures months after purchase. These late failures were destroying customer trust and costing millions in replacement products and damaged reputation. When I brought my findings to Alton, his response was dismissive. "You're overreacting to normal variance. Our return rates are within industry standards." "The standard is the problem," I insisted. "These failures are happening past our warranty period, so customers blame the product rather than seeking replacements. We're losing future sales, not just paying for returns." He tapped his pen against his desk calendar. "Nadia, I appreciate your concern, but we have bigger priorities. Let's focus on the quarterly targets we already established." Walking away from his office, I made my decision. I would solve this problem, but this time I wouldn't hand him the solution. For the next 3 months, I worked weekends and evenings, developing both a detection system for the impurities and a modification to our process that would eliminate them. I tested my theories using company resources after hours when nobody would question what I was doing. The results were undeniable. My solution not only eliminated the impurity but actually sped up production. Instead of sharing it internally, I registered for an industry workshop where materials innovations were discussed theoretically. There, I presented the concept as a hypothetical problem without naming our company. An efficiency expert named Vincent Marquez immediately recognized its value and approached me after the session. "This isn't hypothetical, is it?" he asked quietly as others filed out of the room. I maintained my professional smile. All problems exist somewhere. "Would you be open to discussing this privately? I have some thoughts that might interest you." Vincent turned out to be a consultant who worked directly with our regional leadership team. After confirming my identity and position, he proposed bringing my solution directly to them, bypassing Alton entirely. "If what you're describing is accurate, this could save the company millions," he said. "Why haven't you raised this internally?" I explained the pattern of behavior without emotion, sticking to facts and dates. Vincent listened intently, occasionally making notes. "Unfortunately, this isn't uncommon," he finally said, "but it is fixable. Are you willing to trust me with this information? I believe I can help ensure your work is properly attributed this time." It was a risk, but one worth taking. I shared my complete solution with Vincent, including implementation details. He promised to present it to regional leadership within the week. What happened next exceeded my expectations. The regional team implemented my solution immediately, attributing it to an anonymous internal source pending verification. Within 3 months, the results were undeniable. $9.3 million saved in reduced returns and increased production efficiency. Customer satisfaction ratings climbed steadily. Throughout this period, Alton became increasingly hostile toward me. He assigned me to increasingly trivial projects, excluded me from strategic meetings, and began suggesting I might be better suited elsewhere in the organization. Vincent kept me informed of developments at the regional level. "They're extremely impressed with the solution," he told me. "They're also concerned about why something this significant had to come through back channels. I've shared some of what you told me, and they've begun watching more closely." I continued gathering evidence, now with renewed purpose. I collected witness statements from teammates who had seen the pattern. I assembled proof of my original authorship for innovations now benefiting the company. Meanwhile, I performed my assigned tasks with perfect competence, giving Alton no legitimate reason to criticize my work. Then came the strategy meeting, the one I was deliberately excluded from. Vincent had warned me it was coming. "They're discussing departmental reorganization," he said. "Alton has suggested eliminating your position as redundant. Be prepared." So I positioned myself where I could observe through the glass wall, recording everything on my phone in my pocket. I watched as my career was casually dismissed by people who had benefited from my work for years. And then, right on cue, the regional VP walked in. Now, as executives shift uncomfortably in their seats, I remain perfectly still, observing the scene I helped orchestrate. The VP places a folder on the table. Inside are documents proving my contributions, evidence Vincent has been helping me compile for months. I'd like everyone to review these materials, the VP says. Then we'll discuss why one of our most valuable innovators. Click the bell icon so you don't miss the conclusion. Because what happens next will change how you think about workplace justice forever. The executives flip through the documents, expressions shifting from confusion to concern. Some glance toward me, suddenly aware of my presence outside the glass. Alton's face flushes as he skims through the evidence. Timestamps of my original submissions matched against his later presentations, witness statements from team members, data trails showing my access to systems during weekend hours when I developed the solution. This is a misunderstanding, Alton says, his voice carrying through the partially open door. Nadia is talented technically, but these innovations required significant refinement before implementation. My role was to make her rough concepts viable. The VP, Christopher Reed, raises his hand. The efficiency analysis disagrees. The implemented solution matches her original documentation with 97% fidelity. The timeline also raises questions. Why did this critical improvement come through an external channel rather than your department's normal processes? Alton adjusts his tie. Sometimes the official channels can slow innovation. I was planning to bring these concepts forward once properly developed. Christopher's expression remains neutral, but his voice sharpens. According to Ms. Weaver's performance reviews, you've consistently rated her innovations as impractical and lacking business perspective. Yet, this solution she developed independently saved us millions and improved our customer satisfaction metrics by double digits. The tension in the room thickens. I remain motionless, a silent witness to the unraveling of 3 years of systematic dismissal. Christopher turns to the group. I'd like everyone except Alton to step out for 15 minutes. Please use this time to review these materials thoroughly. As executives file past me, their eyes avoid mine. Some look genuinely shocked, others embarrassed. I move away from the door, maintaining my composure despite the emotions surging through me. This moment isn't about satisfaction, it's about validation. Proof that I wasn't imagining things, proof that my work matters. Vincent appears at my elbow, speaking quietly. You should join the VP in 10 minutes. He'll text you. Exactly 10 minutes later, my phone vibrates with a message. When I enter the conference room, Alton is gone. Christopher stands by the window, his reflection doubled against the city backdrop. Ms. Weaver, he says, turning to face me. Please sit down. I take a seat, keeping my expression neutral despite my racing heart. First, I want to apologize on behalf of the company. What you've experienced contradicts our stated values and hampers our ability to innovate effectively. I maintain eye contact. Thank you for acknowledging that. What happens now? That depends partly on you. He sits across from me. Alton has been removed from his supervisory position, effective immediately. He's been offered a lateral position in another division with no direct reports. His acceptance is pending. The news lands without the triumph I might have expected. Instead, I feel a strange emptiness, the absence of a weight I've carried for years. Christopher continues. We're creating a new innovation incubator division focused on materials engineering excellence. Our executive team has asked for my recommendation on who should lead it. My breath catches. I'd like to recommend you, Ms. Weaver. You'd have director-level authority equal to Alton's former position, with a mandate to implement changes across our manufacturing processes. You'd report directly to me. The offer is everything I should want: recognition, advancement, the authority to implement my ideas without interference. Yet something holds me back. Before I answer, I say carefully, I need to understand why this happened in the first place. Not just with Alton, but with an entire system that allowed it to continue for 3 years. 8 executives in that meeting nodded when he called me dispensable. HR received my complaints and did nothing. This is deeper than one supervisor. Christopher nods slowly. You're absolutely right. That's exactly why we need someone like you in leadership. Someone who recognizes that technical solutions require cultural ones to succeed. He slides a folder across the table. This is the full proposal for the new division. It includes budget for you to build your own team and a mandate to audit our current innovation processes across departments. I open the folder, scanning the details. The position offers substantial authority to implement structural changes, not just technical ones. My first assignment would be conducting a comprehensive innovation audit of all departments, beginning with my former team. I need 24 hours to consider this, I say. Of course, though I should mention, your first assignment would include reviewing all innovations attributed to your former department over the past 5 years, with full authority to correct attributions and recommending compensation adjustments where appropriate. The implications are clear. I would have the power to ensure everyone who had their ideas stolen receives proper credit and compensation. Not just me, everyone. I'll have my answer tomorrow, I say, standing to leave. That evening, I sit on my apartment balcony, watching the city lights flicker against the darkening sky. The vindication I'd imagined feels different in reality, more somber, more complex. I call my older sister, Imani, the only person who heard every detail of my struggle these past years. They offered me everything I wanted, I tell her. Authority, recognition, the chance to fix the system. But, she asks, knowing me too well, but I don't know if I want to stay in a place that required this much pain before seeing my value. Imani is quiet for a moment. What would you tell someone else in your position? The question clarifies something for me. I'd tell them that sometimes fixing a broken system from within is more powerful than walking away, that their experience gives them insight others lack. Then you have your answer, she says. This isn't about forgiveness. It's about transformation. You've earned the right to create the environment you needed but never had. The next morning, I accept the position with 2 conditions. First, that the company implements mandatory attribution protocols for all innovations. Second, that they create transparent promotion criteria based on measurable contributions rather than subjective assessments. Christopher agrees without hesitation. When can you start? Monday, I say. I'll need the weekend to prepare. My first week as innovation director passes in a blur of meetings and introductions. I assemble a preliminary team, including 2 colleagues who had privately supported me during Alton's tenure. I request all documentation from the past 5 years of projects, not just final reports, but every email, every draft, every meeting note. When I encounter resistance from certain department heads, Christopher intervenes personally. This audit has full executive support. Any obstruction will be noted in the final report. By week 3, patterns emerge. Alton wasn't unique. 3 other supervisors show similar habits of claiming subordinates' work. More disturbing are the demographic patterns in whose ideas get appropriated and whose get credited. The data tells a story of systemic bias, masked as teamwork and collaborative development. I compile my findings methodically, including recommendations for structural changes and specific instances requiring correction. The report identifies 27 employees whose contributions were systematically minimized or attributed to others. For each, I include a rectification plan with appropriate recognition and compensation adjustments. The day before presenting my findings to the executive team, I receive an unexpected visitor. Alton stands in my office doorway, visibly uncomfortable. "Do you have a minute?" he asks. I gesture to the chair across from my desk, maintaining a neutral expression. "I've been doing some reflection," he begins. "The past month has been illuminating." I wait without offering assistance. This moment belongs to him. I've realized that my behavior was inexcusable, not just to you, but to others over the years. He places a folder on my desk. This contains my own audit of projects I supervised. I've identified every instance where I failed to properly attribute contributions. It includes names, dates, and my personal assessment of credit misattribution. The admission surprises me. What prompted this? Your promotion announcement included your mandate to audit innovation attribution. I realized 2 things. First, that this would eventually reach me regardless. Second, that I had a choice about how to face it. He gestures to the folder. This doesn't undo the damage, but it's a start toward accountability. I open the folder, scanning its contents. His assessment largely matches my own findings, with a few additions I hadn't yet discovered. I appreciate this initiative, I say carefully. It will be incorporated into my final report. Alton nods. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I'm committed to changing how I work with others going forward. After he leaves, I sit with this unexpected development. His acknowledgement doesn't erase 3 years of struggle, but it represents something significant, the beginning of actual change. The following day, I present my complete findings to the executive team. The room falls silent as I detail the patterns of attribution failure and their impacts on both innovation and employee retention. I outline specific recommendations for systemic changes, including new documentation protocols, attribution requirements for all projects, and adjustments to promotion criteria. Implementation will require significant cultural change, I conclude. But the return on investment is clear. When people receive proper credit for their innovations, they produce more of them. Our current system actively discourages the creativity we claim to value. Christopher speaks first. These findings are disturbing but necessary. I move that we implement Ms. Weaver's recommendations in full, beginning with the attribution corrections and compensation adjustments. The vote is unanimous. Over the next 6 months, I lead the transformation of our innovation processes. We implement clear attribution protocols, restructure reporting relationships, and create transparent criteria for advancement. Most importantly, we establish consequences for supervisors who claim subordinates' work as their own. The most powerful change comes in the form of public corrections. In a company-wide meeting, Christopher announces formal recognition for the 27 employees identified in my audit, including retroactive bonuses for significant contributions. The message is unmistakable. This behavior will no longer be tolerated. Alton remains with the company in his reduced role. He becomes an unexpected ally in the transformation, speaking openly about his past behavior in management training sessions. His example makes it harder for others to deny similar tendencies in themselves. 1 year after that fateful strategy meeting, I stand at the podium during our annual innovation conference. Our company has just announced record profits, with customer satisfaction at an all-time high. New product development has accelerated by 34%, with broader participation across all departments. Innovation thrives on attribution, I tell the assembled employees. When people know their ideas will be recognized, they offer them freely. When credit is stolen, ideas stay hidden. The past year has proven that integrity and profitability aren't competing values, they're complementary ones. As I scan the audience, I spot Alton in the back row. He meets my gaze and nods slightly, an acknowledgement of how far we've both come. My revenge wasn't his destruction. It was transforming the system that enabled him, creating something better for everyone, including myself. After the conference, Vincent finds me by the refreshment table. You've created quite a legacy here, he says. Was it worth staying? I consider the question seriously. Revenge would have been leaving them to continue failing. Justice was helping them change. This wasn't just about setting things right for me. It was about ensuring nobody else experiences what I did. He raises his water glass in a subtle toast. To transformation, then. I smile, clinking my glass against his. To transformation. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been in a situation where your contributions went unrecognized? How did you handle it? Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destroying your opponents. It's transforming the system that gave them power in the first place. Like this video if you believe in standing up for what's right, and subscribe for more stories about justice that comes in unexpected forms. Remember, your worth isn't determined by others' recognition, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't fight for it.